Welcome into Barnstable Today. I'm Nick Cortez.
And I'm Kevin Friel. We'd like to remind you right at the top that the meetings we cover are available on demand at the town's website. You can log on to www.town.barnstable.ma.us to find all those meetings. Now, the holiday season is a time for putting up decorations, cooking big family meals, and relaxing by the fire. Enjoyable as they are, all of these things pose potential safety hazards that could make the holidays not so happy. So today, Nick paid a visit to the Hyannis Fire Department to talk holiday fire safety with Lieutenant Don Chase and John Cosmo.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. We're talking about holiday fire safety. Let's start off with the basic stuff. Holiday decorations, Christmas trees, menorahs, and so on and so forth. Let's start off with a little bit about Christmas tree fire safety. What should people keep in mind?
When they first buy a Christmas tree, if they get a live tree, they need to make sure that they cut an inch or so off the end, keep it in water. Try not to keep it near any heat sources, such as a fireplace or in front of your baseboard heaters or electric or mechanical heaters. Want to keep it away from there. Keep it watered all the time. Use no candles for decorations. Use only approved, nationally tested Christmas tree lights that you put on it. No metal tinsel. I guess the tinsel now is all in plastic. Menorahs, again, those are candles. They do have electric versions of those, but you should always be careful with candles. You need to make sure that you keep a foot of distance away from everything. Circle of safety, as the fire marshal likes to say. Keep away from children and pets. We find that there's a lot of fires with candles that are started by pets. Cats interested in flame, flickering, wind blowing, blowing the draperies onto it. You just need to keep a foot of distance away. Make sure you keep the animals away also.
Now, off camera, we were having a conversation a little bit earlier about just how fast a Christmas tree fire can start and really kind of take over a room. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Live Christmas tree, even if it's just been cut and it's taken care of, contains approximately a pint of, the equivalent of a pint of gasoline. So if they do have a short on the lights, or they do have too near a flame, or they get dried out, they can burn probably within 45 seconds. That's how fast it takes. And it just consumes the entire tree. And by that time, it consumes everything else that's around in the room.
Okay, let's move on to something else that a lot of people are doing this time of season, lighting up their wood stoves and pellet stoves and things like that. What are some things that people should keep in mind to stay safe with the wood stoves? Basic
safety is to keep a 3-foot distance between the wood stove or the heater and anything that can burn, which includes people. The safest thing to do is take a yardstick and just put the yardstick around, all the way around the wood stove, and if it touches anything such as a couch or a pile of wood, then you have to move that out of the way. 3 feet is the distance. If you have small children at home, you also want to make sure that you put some kind of barrier, such as a fence or some type of apparatus that will keep the children away from the wood stove and keep them from touching it.
Okay, and is there anything different than people should keep in mind for fireplaces?
Fireplaces is the same thing. You don't want to, after your holiday is over, and you have a whole pile of Christmas wrap, you don't want to take that Christmas wrap and throw it in the fireplace and light it up, because that burns fairly rapidly and the ashes will go up the chimney, and we don't want those coming out on the roof or landing somewhere else in the neighborhood. That's also, the longer you use a fireplace, you have to be careful if you have a wooden mantle, that little by little over the course of years the wood dries out, and when the wood dries out, the temperature at which it ignites becomes lower and lower. So you have to keep an eye on that. Usually some protective barrier, such as a metal piece of sheet metal underneath, or have it far enough away, or even use a stone mantle.
Now, cooking safety obviously is another big thing. We've already made it through the Thanksgiving holiday, but with Christmas and other holiday parties coming up, just some things for people to keep in mind.
A lot of people have what they call holiday sickness. It happens when you have, for example, a gas stove. Gas stoves are usually vented into the kitchen. People that cook all day long, 5 or 6 hours at a time or longer, have onsets of dizziness and nausea. They just don't feel that well. And it's usually because the carbon monoxide builds up in the house over the course of that time while they're cooking. So the handiest and safest thing to do is just crack a window open while you cook, or turn a fan on that goes to the outside. and that way you can keep the levels of carbon monoxide down, which goes hand in hand with the fact that you should have carbon monoxide detectors in your house. Normally they're located on every level and within 10 feet of a bedroom.
Now, I know, I heard you talk about this a little bit earlier this morning, but the concept of a fried turkey. I know some people like to do it, and our very own Kevin Friel had said that they're actually quite delicious. But what do you think about those?
They're quite good. They only recommend that you cook between a 10 and 12 pound turkey. And the turkey has to be done outside, not inside, and also uses quite a bit of oil, which has to be maintained at the correct temperature. But the key thing is the turkey must be completely thawed, and it must be free of any ice or water. So the turkey has to be dry as well. And then there's an apparatus to lower it into the kettle, but you have to be very careful that you don't put too much oil in, and then you put the turkey in and it overflows, which falls right down on the flame.
So what happens if you don't thaw the turkey?
It creates quite a reaction. It's like throwing water on a frying pan fire. It vaporizes the water, it explodes, and the same thing can happen with the turkey. You can take and lower it down in. As soon as it hits that water or hits that ice, it flashes the steam, and it has a tendency to throw the oil everywhere.
Now, changing directions for one more second, back to the decorations aspect. A lot of people are climbing up on their roofs to string up Christmas lights around their roofs, and you guys are EMTs and firefighters, so what can people do to stay safe when they're climbing around the roof, setting up Christmas lights and things like that? Because I would imagine that you do get some calls with people falling off the roof or some type of issue with lighting up the Christmas lights.
Well, you have to be really careful. First of all, you need to use a ladder. Make sure that the roof is dry. I mean, you shouldn't go up there if it has snow on it. And use some kind of fall protection. Either put a rope around yourself and throw it down the other side and let somebody hold it, or if you're really unsure about how to do it, call a professional. Have either a contractor or a roofer come by that could give you a hand. A lot of people just put them along the gutters. And there's special clips that you can buy. They're really cheap. You can get them at most of the hardware stores. That is a plastic clip that fastens like every 2 feet along the gutter. You can hang your lights. You don't even have to get off the ground. This comes with a pole, and you can clip the lights. First put the clips in, and then put the lights on right after that without having to leave the ground. Now,
if you had to choose between a real tree or a synthetic tree, which would you prefer as a firefighter?
Well, I've always had a synthetic tree in my house because I know how fast they burn if they do have a problem. There's nothing like the smell of a tree. What we've done in the past at my parents' house was we got a live tree from the nursery. We dug a hole in the ground and we filled it with hay. And then once we had the tree in the house for 2 or 3 days over Christmas, and then we went outside and planted it.
Lieutenant Chase also wants to remind everybody that if you are a business owner, it is against fire code to have any live decorations at commercial properties. So no big pine trees and no petting zoos this year. Sorry, folks.
Now let's take a look at the meeting schedule for the rest of this week. On Tuesday, December 1st at 3:30, the Town Council press conference will be going on in the Town Hall hearing room. At 6:30 tomorrow evening, the Conservation Commission has a meeting in the Town Hall hearing room. Then on Wednesday, December 2nd, the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission meets in the Selectmen's Conference Room at 7. And rounding out the week on Thursday, December 3rd, the Town Council has a meeting in the Town Hall hearing room at 7 o'clock.
That's all we have for Barnstable Today. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Nick Cortez.
And I'm Kevin Friel.
We'll see you tomorrow.